These vivid and striking figures and animals, it's hard to believe they're made entirely of clay. But in the hands of a master artist, nearly any design is possible. Botou County in the northern province of Hebei has a long history of clay sculpture. In the 1940s and 50s, it's said almost every family made clay toys in the county's surrounding villages. There was also a clay toy market that lured businessmen from Beijing, Tianjin, and other cities. Famous Chinese legends of Botou's clay sculpture abound, but the most famous are the clay figurines from Junxi village, where the Three Obsession workroom had a major impact on the art. Following Song and his apprentices into the world of clay sculpturing, we learned that there are more than 40 steps, with the first being to make the clay. You might think this would be easy, but in fact, it requires a lot of time and energy.
A good clay sculpture that can endure a long time needs clay that has been preserved 10 years. It's complicated to make, but you can use other clay if you just want to make cheap toys.
Song tells us that the clay is classified into several types by how long it has been stored. There is less than 10 years, more than 10 years but less than 50 years, 50 to 100 years, and more than 100 years. It is said that clay preserved more than 100 years can be eaten. Clay preserved 1 or 2 years is called old clay. Song says there are many vats of old clay buried by his grandfather or his father. His grandfather also made a detailed analysis of clay from different places.
The records of my grandfather tell us many places that have clay that's good for sculptures. For example, in Beijing, the suitable clay is at Aokou Reservoir, while in Henan province, the suitable clay is in Tianyin County.
Having prepared the raw material, now the clay figures can be made. Most of the figures come from folk stories and Chinese classics.
First, you should have a well-thought-out plan. For this one, his body is like a rectangle and head like a ball. Only after this can you make a perfect one without making big mistakes in the whole process.
Song, Yin Changyue's teacher, tells us that there are 3 grades in clay sculpture making. After clay sculptures are made, workers can use a knife or a stick as a decoration. The sculptures are mainly red, green, and black, but better skilled workers can paint with different colors.
When the sculptures are colored, we use a thin brush and a thick brush to make it perfect. They're red, green, white, black, and blue, and sometimes we also use composite colors.
After the process of making the clay, kneading and coloring, clay sculptures are basically finished. The ones that don't need to be burned must be stored in dry places. Song is planning to publish a book, Clay Sculpture Art in Botou. Since 2003, he had spent a lot of time visiting elderly clay sculpture artists and taking notes and photos to gather more and more information and detail. But he really enjoys teaching his craft and passing it down to a new generation.